Okay, I'm going to begin. I don't think I need to say I'm Becky's dad, but that's all right. Welcome. At the theater, before the play begins, a warning is usually made regarding cell phone silencing and emergency exiting. But before this program begins, I would like to warn you that there will be crying. There will be tears. There will be crying. There will be tears. There will be men crying. There will be women crying. And that is okay. But hopefully there will be laughter too, and funny stories, and remembrances of good times, good trips, and even good dinners. But first, Randy, Ben, and I would like to thank all of you, not just for being here with us today, but more importantly, for being there for Becky, or being there for us, or both. I would like to reprise what Becky said in her last quick update, written just 2 days before she passed. I likely won't be able to spend time with most of you before I go, which absolutely breaks my heart. I love you all so much. I don't know that I have enough time left to properly tell each and every one of you individually how much you mean to me. But please know that even if we don't get the chance to hug and cry together, you have been the most incredible support system I could possibly have asked for. And I will always be with you, whether you like it or not. Now, the last spoken words were, I love you guys so much. And so do we. Randy, Ben, and I, we love you all. And although we offer a poor replacement for Becky, we hope that we can share that hug and cry with you. Now that I turn this into a complete downer, I will change the subject. I would like to point out that we have placed a few items of Becky's out on the table by the elevator. A lot of you met me out there and were looking at them. But as you may or may not know, Becky harbored artistic talents that she indulged in from time to time. When she was young, it was drawing. In elementary school, it was arts and crafts. And in her last year, she discovered pottery. But in middle school and high school, she took to collage. At first, it was working solely with prints or photos taken by her or by the family, cutting them up to make these intricate compositions on topics like our cross-country trip, our family vacations, and especially her friends in high school. But then in college, she began to add newspaper clippings, ticket stubs, the tiny pieces of her life. We have placed a number of these collages inside on that table. You'll also find copies of 2 of her notebooks there, places where she entered inspirations, quotations, and pictures that were meaningful to her. Together, they tell your story if you really will. And that story is usually one of life, of beauty, and of joy. Becky lived deeply and with a lot of joy. So today we will celebrate that life with music, with laughter, and with joy. For that is how she would have wanted it. But it is okay if the occasional tear or two slips out. And speaking of joy, I would like to explain the bag of green peanut M&Ms that you might have seen on the way in. Apparently, Becky held a passion for peanut M&Ms, and the green ones were by far her favorites. And who's to blame her? Chocolate, peanuts, and a candy coating? Why, M&Ms are the perfect symbiotic melding of the three. They brought her joy, and we hope they bring the same to you. But for those individuals for whom peanuts present a problem, and I know there's at least one of you will find green non-peanut M&Ms also remember. Now, before I turn you over to Nikki McCallum, who has so graciously offered to MC the program, we would like to recognize 2 special individuals who are not here today. Olivia Clark Felt, who is Becky's goddaughter, and Murray Beck Mayo, who is named in Becky's honor. And we would like to give special thanks to the team who helped make this celebration possible. Besides Nikki, there is Matt Vita, Lauren Burke, Nicole Felt, Marcello De Michel, Julianne McGuire, Liz Cloyd, Glennie Sanchez Francisco McBride, and Deborah Murnsky. Who says it doesn't take a village? And with that, I'd like to introduce Nikki McCallum. Nikki and Becky met as roommates while Becky was in law school, and they have remained the closest of friends ever since. Nikki will begin by performing her song, For Becky.
There we go, thank you. I always get so excited when I'm introduced as Becky's roommate from law school, because then people assume I also went to law school. Not a practicing attorney, spoiler alert. This is for Becky. Reading our old texts, texting with your mom, wondering what's next, trying to be calm and laugh a lot, though sometimes I feel like not. You gave me strength, you challenged me, but never crossed a line. You taught me I should always take the foil off of wine. You made me friends, you made me food, you always had my back. You taught me how to curl my hair and to never lose track of the things that matter most, like family and toast. Watering your plants, running your old route, missing all your rants, trying to get out, soldier on, and remembering you're gone, going on our walks, passing your old place, missing all our talks, trying to not disgrace you when I cook. Now all you have to do is look. You made me think, you made me laugh, you came to every show. When I asked, do you believe in ghosts? You said, I'll let you know. I worried what I'd say, I practiced in my head. I saw you and realized nothing had gone unsaid. So we spent our last day laughing. It was beautiful and baffling. Thank you. We move up. Oh, good, we're on. move up here for a second. Just want to again thank everyone for being here today to celebrate this gorgeously stunning woman. I mean, I have to tell you, before Becky passed, on multiple occasions, she threatened me that if I ever posted an unflattering photo of her on social media, she would haunt me. And Bob and I were talking this morning, and I was telling him the story, and he said, there were no unflattering photos of Becky. I'm so honored to be here today. Some of you may know me as Becky's comedian friend. And I just love the McBrides so much. And one of the first times I met this very special family was at a Passover Seder when Becky aggressively encouraged me to run my X-rated stand-up material at the Seder table. And look where it got me, I'm here, so. And with that, I'd like to bring up a very, very special member of the McBride family to say a few words. Ben McBride, Becky's brother. I'm going to make sure you don't get COVID. Well, safety, health first, safety first.
I've been around like 30 unvaccinated first graders, so. All right, this is pretty difficult for me for many obvious reasons, but also because Becky would write all of my speeches before I'd have to give one, so wish me luck. If there are any tech heads here in attendance, I think like a pretty cool app would be to use someone's socials to generate like a friendship map or tree. If this already exists, please forgive me. I'm kind of old now. And, I don't know like new things, but I'd love to see the friendship tree for everyone in this room today and their connection to my sister. It makes me think of a conversation Beck and I had in her Greenpoint apartment, in her kitchen. I believe it was just after she had returned from like an epic trip to Australia for a wedding. Like, who has friends in Australia? And like, okay, people have friends in Australia, but like she has friends in Australia that like she met in Colombia, like at a surfing camp. So she's telling me about this trip, and I'm just like in awe. I'm like marveling, and I'm just like expressing how amazing it is. These connections that she makes, a habitual friend maker, and how effortless it seems to her. It seems for her, excuse me. And that's when she stopped me, and she was like, "Bub, don't you remember high school and undergrad? I had like 3 friends. You were the one who always had a group of friends. Everyone always wanted to be your friend." And she went on to tell me that this was not an effortless change in her life. In fact, it was something she put a lot of effort into. She decided that making friends and having connections was something that was missing from her life, and she made it her business to fill that void. And I think today is pretty strong evidence of her success in doing so. And also I just think it's just as important to realize that things don't always come naturally or easy, but if you really want something, you just have to make it your business to go out and get it. And you can, and she did. And that became Becky's business, the business in spreading love and friendship. So I really just want to express my gratitude and say thank you to everybody that's here that helped to fill that void that Becky was missing and to help make her feel complete. I know that she valued all of you, and I do as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Next, I'd like to call up, I'm going to come up with a more streamlined process for these mic covers. No one's getting COVID on our watch. Next, I'd like to call up a very special person, Becky's chosen aunt, Karen Meyerson. She's leaving? Oh, girl, Karen. Thank goodness for Karen. Karen, I get it. Karen Meyerson, everyone.
Hi everyone. I'm going to take advice that Becky gave to her mom at the memorial of her beloved Uncle Jeffrey and said, Mom, tell them things they don't know. So I'm going to try to tell you some of the things that haven't been covered. When Jed was born in 1982, about a year and a half later, Ben came along, then Becky, and a year later, Kate. So we created the family that we chose, and we became the McBride sandwich with Dooley bread. And then, thanks to Jed and to Ben, they gave us Lenny and Susie. And then we got 3 granddaughters, Stella and Nora. And Stella changed Bob's name to Uncle Bobby. And Nora was a little whirling dervish. Whenever we would get together, we'd have to get recharged by jumping on Uncle Ben's lap, not the rice lap, and just get recharged with love from Uncle Ben and then continue on her way. She didn't want anybody else but Uncle Ben. So thank you for bringing them into our family. And I have to say, one of the greatest joys of my life, and I'm being presumptuous, but really one of the greatest joys of your life is the relationship of our children. The love that they have for each other was extraordinary, is extraordinary. It's not gone. She may not be right here, but it's not gone. And it has been one of the greatest joys in my life. And as modern a woman as Becky was, she was also very traditional. And family and traditions were very, very important to her. Holidays, she had her unseder when she made people do raunchy jokes. And when they were little, apple picking in the fall and doing Easter eggs in the spring for Easter. But nothing was as sacred to that Dooley McBride family than Thanksgiving. And some of you here, I think, had the joy of sharing the love that went on there. And I can close my eyes and I can see Becky and Katie sitting across from each other. And Becky's radiant smile and her infectious giggle as they made fun of me and Randy. It was their greatest joy to, hey Rand, what can? And we just loved it. We just loved it. And it was filled with laughter and stories and great food and wine and board games that Randy and I always managed to screw up, which just added to the laughter. Okay, I'm going to read something that I read when Becky was very sick and we knew that time was short. It was from a book, The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes, and it was called The Firefly. You know what's really wonderful about fireflies? Sure, they live for just a few weeks, not much at all in the grand scheme of things. While they are here, the beauty of them takes your breath away. You get to see the world in a whole new way, and then you have that beautiful picture burned into the inside of your head to carry it wherever you go and never forget. Maybe that's the thing we need to understand, that some things are a gift, even if we don't get to keep them. Maybe just to know that something this beautiful exists is all we can really ask for. Well, one night in this past August, way past firefly season, which was pretty sparse this year, usually it's June, we had a big storm. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I walked outside, and there she was, a single firefly dancing on my lawn. And I stood there for a long, long time, and she just kept dancing to me. And later that day, we found out that Glennie got a visa to come to be with us. So that was my sign. And my daughter Kate had spoken about reading a book about signs, and I said, what do you think? Do you think it was her? She said, it doesn't matter what I think. She said, it's what you think. It's what it meant to you. And I know what it meant to you. To me, that's it. And I also have a card, my most treasured possession, that I had sent some things to Becky. And she answered. I'll read some of it. My induction into the Breast Cancer Club has largely sucked, but in a strange way that life can surprise you, this experience has also left me feeling so loved by the people in my life that it overwhelms me at times. And for how anxious and erratic as you two are, that's Random Cash. I have to say that I attribute much of that to you and my mom growing up watching you two interact. I just assumed that friendship meant loving the shit out of another person while being able to call them on their shit. It meant not trying to hide who you are. It meant sharing everything from daughters' names to minivans to Thanksgiving dinners. It meant getting confused during the same board games, laughing about the same memories, crying about the same disappointments, and always holding the other person up when they need you. As an adult, I now know that most of my friendships don't look like yours and my mom's, that most friendships don't look like yours and my mom's. So thank you for being that kind of friend to her and a second mom to me. And thank you for teaching me how to be that kind of friend to others. Because if it wasn't for you and my mom showing me what can happen when you just love the shit out of people and let them see you as you are, this whole experience would have been a much lonelier one for me. And thank you for Kate. She is just the best. Love always Becky. Well, Beck, we'll always love you. We'll always miss you. We will never forget you, and you'll always be my friend.
And Karen, that was so beautiful, and what you don't know, I've been trying to score an invite to your Thanksgiving food for years. I've seen the videos. You get pretty wild. I've seen some karaoke. Well, I've seen you dancing on a sofa, Karen. Next, I'd like to call one of Becky's very dear friends, Laura Ferroli.
Hi everyone, my name is Laura Frateroli, and I had the pleasure of meeting Becky about 8 years ago. We were both spending our summer interning at Sanctuary for Families, Becky in the sex trafficking unit, and I was in the domestic violence unit. In one of our first staff meetings, the first thing that struck me was that despite the grim and sad stories and updates that we were sharing about our clients and our cases, this beautiful brunette had a smile to share, and more than once made us laugh. It was impossible not to gravitate towards her energy. And other than my now husband and my best friend, I knew very few people in New York City at that time because I was in law school in Boston. And as many of us know, New York City isn't always the easiest or the friendliest place to make friends. But I decided in that staff meeting that I needed to make Becky my friend. So I did what I've only done one other time. And after the staff meeting, ran up to her, introduced myself, and asked her if she wanted to eat lunch together. We all know how beautiful Becky is, so there was a small part of me that was a little nervous that this girl was actually going to be a mean girl and turn me down and make me feel super embarrassed and awkward, but of course not. She gave me a huge smile and said, sure. So later that day, we met in the lunchroom with our packed lunch, and we just spent the longest hour talking through everything. We just really got to know each other in an hour, and I thought I had frightened her, because I was like, I'm Latin, and we kind of just put it all out on the table. And she's like, no, I love this. And I remember texting my now husband after lunch, and I said, I just made the most amazing friend. Is it too soon to ask her to hang out this weekend? I knew after that first lunch that this was going to be a lasting friendship. We spent that summer working very challenging and very emotionally draining cases, but what I remember most about that summer is meeting this beautiful, radiant human being. A friend that I could always count on. A friend that took the time to get to know me, accept me as I am, and make me feel so loved. And it's her friendship that has made me a better friend to those around me, and that's how I hope to continue to honor her memory by trying to be the friend that she was to me. I still haven't wrapped my head around a world without Becky, where I can't call her or text her when I need a laugh or advice, which is a lot. But I often go back to the night we shared our hotel room the night before the New Jersey bar, and I was freaking out because the New York bar had been so difficult, and I was convinced I was just gonna fail. And she just looked at me and laughed and said, "Relax. Worst case scenario, we move to Colombia and we live on the beach." This was indicative of everything that she was to me. Someone who lifted me up and calmed me down, made me feel better, and always made me laugh. So I love you, and you are very missed.
Thank you, Laura. Next, I'd like to call up another dear friend of Becky's, Brooke Dawson, to say a few words.
Hi, my name's Brooke. I was a friend of Becky's, and I'm so grateful to have known her, and I'm sure, like everybody here, I can't quantify or express the impact she had on me, but I know how she made me feel, and that was loved, and that I should just be myself. And she made everybody feel like a priority, and it always seemed like she had room for more. She was always on the go, but you never felt sidelined by her. She always had room for more friends, more laughs, and she just had an unlimited amount of love to share. And since words are failing me today, I'd like to just share a brief poem that has provided me some perspective and comfort. Where has the cold come from? It comes from the loss of your friend. Will I always, from now on, be this cold? No, it will diminish, but always it will be with you. What is the reason for it? Wasn't your friendship always as beautiful as a flame? Thank you.
Thank you. And next, I'd like to call up a friend and former client of Becky's, Brian Paguada.
Buenas tardes. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. I wasn't sure if people were here, just checking in. My name is Brian, gender pronounce he, him, they. Also, just want to begin thanking the father and the mom and the brother. Becky Rosamawa, she was very deeply loved ya. Every single time she would bring y'all into the conversation, and how joyful as always, and she was always laughing and being funny. I guess she was funny. So as we mentioned, I was a client and then a former friend, and also I like to say partner in chismes, which is a gossip, like talking, like share about the office. So we will do that. She was always on top of her job, so she will do the legal out days, and then she will be like, "So what's good? What do you heard?" So we had like different departments organized. Programming and like legal, and she was like, "What is good? What's happening?" Organizing. So like between nonprofits and buses, So she was always funny. I wrote some things when we tried to. So peace and blessings to everyone who's here. My name is Ryan. I live in China. I met Becky in 2015 when I joined Atlas DIY, which is a nonprofit organization looking for legal resources where co-founder and also co-workers there and friends members are here. Where she used to also work, and I think that she was living her passion there also. So I met her. I was introduced also by Maria. They had like different lawyers. I was lucky to have Becky. She was the director of legal services, and between members, we used to always talk about who was the best lawyer. And I always was like, I have the director, so you figure it out there. Make him up. And also, our meetings used to go longer, so members were like, what are you talking about? Just keeping it out there, you know. She was also so welcoming to the members in the community that she used to work in Sunset Park, undocumented communities. Always joyful, always happy, always decided to show up and serve the people. Never left a question out. She always was like, what was your other question? Go back to the question. I was like, that's a personal, legal person that I want to like follow up to the steps. Personally, I was happy to be here because Becky and we met in a period of time where I was fighting for my legal case still to this day. And the first thing she told me, she was like, vamos a pelear para que tú te quedes acá. We're gonna fight for you to stay in this country and be yourself, because I was fighting for my queer identity at that time in high school, where family was not that support, and Becky was that person there. So for me to be standing up to here, even speaking English, she was the person, you know, she was correcting me in that way. And being always a support person, I was not that confident to be standing here or to show up in like spaces and the queer kid in the classroom. She also took me to court multiple times, which I also enjoy looking at like her doing her work. She was like out there talking to the judge, and she was like, I don't think my client needs to come back here, so we're gonna like get through the court. So she was like, they're good. I don't know, she did, but always sometimes. Also out there, a couple of friends from Atlas. I would like to say that I'm here, but also behind me, I would like to say that there are like 2,000 members that she also served in her capacities and that we can imagine. So there's a big community that she left behind, and every time that we talk about her, they're like, "Ay, Becky, el corazón más lindo que tenía." Many of them by now they have fixed immigration status. My friend who's become a police officer, she was the first person after by him going through 4 lawyers. They just took his money and nothing, and Becky was the first person to like offer free legal services, and now he became a U.S. citizen just like 4 months ago, and that was Becky's process. And he thinks that he's still the favorite, so I'm like, I'm still the favorite to this day. Always fight for the space, and members. There's also other members who just went to see their families in Guatemala. So just like the passion to every single person we want to thank here, because contributed to Becky being who she was, and the parents for raising an amazing daughter and the brother in the community. I just want to say thank you to the best friends and friend, boyfriend, exes, whatever she because that made her who she was to this day, and love and care. And I remember some funny stories that she was always on. I remember Friday night she was at the office. Also going back to the snacks, that was true. She was looking for candy, chocolates. So at the office we used to have like a snack space for members, but she used to come to the other side and take the candies. Also the fruit snacks, she used to carry them. She was like, she couldn't carry them to her office, so she was just traveling. And so it was always her snacks. And one time she kind of like put her bags, and she was trying to like skateboard, and she fell, and she was like, lucky that I'm the lawyer, I'm gonna give you another legal advice, and she's like, don't do that again. And I'm like, wait, you were the one who did it, and she was like, that's a legal advice, just take it. And I was like, okay, and I don't know what I can say, just like I'm beyond thankful that she was in my life, my first lawyer, and for being being able to like contribute to myself. I also would like to be a lawyer because I would like to follow her steps and fight for justice and for young people who are looking for to find their identities and be seen and cared for. Every time that she was in the room, you felt her energy, you felt seen, cared for in her. She was a great listener. I was the one who I was talking, but she was listening. So I think as people, we are always trying to be heard, listened, and cared for. And I think we are here to show her the primary act of love and grieving. You know, the family we are missing someone we can't imagine that she went so soon. But also in my culture, some people would like to believe that people who are reborn, and also in our country when people die, we kind of do like some people do like a celebration because we like honor that the spirit is free and beyond in I am pain. So I think that as we think about Becky, let's acknowledge that she's free, her spirit is free, flying, and you know, I would like to believe that she's behind like Georgia's ears, man, like let them stay, and like giving the visa, changing the system that she was with. I think it is my great joy that I have met her in her journey as a person and as an activist. She was a great activist, fighting for justice and young people, resources. And I would like to say that I feel her to this day every time that I show up to rallies and spaces because I try to honor her memories and her teaching that she gave us. And I love you beyond this world. And the thanks of I, Becky, y gracias. La familia, peace and blessings.
Thank you, Brian. I loved what you said about Becky always hoarding snacks. We would often like smuggle snacks in our purse together, so Giandos don't let me near the buffet. I will take your supplies. Next, I'd like to bring up another dear friend and former client of Becky, Joe Fenning.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm almost like speechless. First, I want to say thank you to Randy and Bob for giving us Becky. Thank you for Ben for going on with her. She spoke a lot about you. Over here. Well, I've been thinking to myself, like, how did I meet Becky? And it's always come down to the lady in the yellow over there. Was one afternoon I was sitting in the office and she said, I think we have somebody about to interview. Would you like to stay for the interview? And I was like, I just want to go to sleep. I have a migraine. She's like, you don't like her. I was like, have you met her? I was like, no. Like, how do you know I don't like her? She's like, just stay. Before Becky, I think there were like 3 people who came for the interview. None of which I liked. So I just didn't want to be there. Because she's like, what do you think? I was like, I don't think it cut it. Becky walked in and I saw a butterfly. I was like, wait, is she going to be the peacock? It's like, you want to step out? It's like, yeah. So Lauren came, she's like, you ready? I was like, yeah. We went in there after the interview, I didn't say a word. Everything was done, and I was like, she's the one. She's like, did you ask questions? Like, no, she's the one. There's no question need to be asked. I never thought, I said she was the one, but I never thought she was going to be the one. 2 weeks later, I came to the office and I saw Becky. Like, not to say I was not happy at Atlas, I've always been happy. Actually, Atlas made me a whole person. But after Becky came into Atlas, I think I became a whole different person. I called it a connector. I think today I talked about that. Becky not only will advise you about everything and how to go about bigger matters and guide you, but truly she cared. She was a human being. Family, it was not about her. She was there to serve. Career-wise, not just about a career actually, also but social matters. Sometimes we sit there. I remember when Atlas moved to the new building, there used to be this big tire in the back of it, and we'll go and start jumping on the tire while we're talking about legal issues and everything. Mind you, I'm not a lawyer, I'm just a student. And I was not practicing to be a lawyer. And she goes like, well, this is not your case, right? It's your family's case. Like, think about this. What if you study an accountant, right? It's like, yeah. What if this can help you in your career too? It's like, how? It's like, well, let's go to the background, let's jump on the tire, you see what I mean? Then every time she just pinpoint a certain topic, like, how does this apply to life? It's like, oh, it makes sense. It's like, okay, then just move the tire, let's jump on this side. So it was like from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We're just sitting there. Then we started buying pizza. We started buying calzones and they're eating. Little did I know that Becky was hoarding also candies. And she was on a mission because I have not been eating candies and sugar. So Becky was on a mission of breaking my pledge of not eating sweet. So now she actually learned me into being happy and everything. She's like, oh, do you like your girlfriend? I was like, yeah, she loves candies, right? It's like, yeah. Do you love candy? I know you don't, but do you love candy? It's like, no. Like, how does Sydney eat candy without you? I was like, she takes all the candy because she know I don't like it. It's like, well, this one has peanut in there. You like peanut? This one, and there was this green M&M. She kept picking those green M&Ms. I was like, why this then? Like, you're just pushing the red, yellow stuff and picking the green. You want to give everything to me, right? It's like, but you see, you don't like it. I found myself eating not M&M. I was eating Skechers. I was eating stuff. And since then, I've been eating candy. Right? These are the fun stuff I've been picturing in my head whenever I was talking. I was like, wow. Not alone did she connect me back to candy and sweets, but she also connected me to my dream, my family. Most importantly, also making me know who I truly am. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for all of you for making her who she is. Because those experiences didn't come along from her, but this was shared experience she had with you, and she actually found a common ground to give you that experience. So thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Next, I'd like to bring up another very dear friend of Becky's, Claire Bauman.
I have tissues like coming out of my pockets and everywhere. Some of you may remember me from the memorial Zoom that Lauren put together. At one point, I might have looked like I was in hysterics because my hair, when someone had said a funny story, flew into a candle and lit on fire. I started like waving my head back and forth apparently, and like Liz Cloyd knew I saw that I lit my hair on fire. Christina is trying to put it out, and Kristen Healy messages me like, Claire, are you in hysterics? And that is absolutely not what Becky would have wanted. What she wanted was me to light my hair on fire and be like, y'all are crying too much right now. Like, you need to laugh. I feel like a little bit of an imposter actually standing up here. Like, Becky had so many friends, and Liz asked if I wanted to speak, and I was like, yeah, I'll speak. I'd love to tell a story. Becky loves stories. And I think Becky was just so amazing that she was almost intimidating sometimes. I mean, sometimes she'd wear this like black leather jacket and she just looked so fucking hot. Like, she looked badass in that leather jacket. So Kristen Healy and I were talking about how I'm going to keep bringing Kristen in. We were all like slightly like, you want to be friends with me? Kristen told me the story about how she was waiting for the bus one day, freshman year of high school, and like not even your friends, Ben, like seniors in high school like came and drove up and like picked Becky up for school, and Kristen's got her backpack on. See you later. We're like, she's amazing, and she friend collected me. Later in life, we played field hockey together in high school. We've known her since then, and she had the best. She's an amazing midfield player. Best swing, played with my sister on varsity while I like fumbled around on JV, and ran into her years later. And Ben, I think what you said meant something to me because we became really close
I think around that time when I think it sounds like she really wanted to build relationships. And to your family, I just want to say, I apologize. I wrote you an email like 5 months after she passed away, and I planted her this garden, and Bob wrote me back, and I don't know where he is. I couldn't respond, and I haven't responded because I think, and probably for many of you, COVID's been this silver lining where you can pretend like she hasn't gone. Like, oh, it's just somebody I haven't seen in a really long time. And I think for me, that's stayed that way, though, because she's so present in my life. And I remember Kristen said when she saw her on her second to last day of her life on earth, not her spirit, she put her hand to Kristen's chest and said, like, I'll always be here. And so Becky guides me every day. I think of her all the time as if she is living and breathing and still with us. And I was in Cape Cod during COVID when she passed away, and I would walk down to the beach and I'd see the sunset every night, and it burned so brightly. The 2 nights before she passed, on a Seder, the year before, Jay had given me a really great back realignment, and I was like, I'm so cool to be invited to this Seder. I can't believe it. Also, Jay has also offered to give anyone a back alignment. And he knows Abby. Where is she? And the sun burned so brightly, and the only thing that's brought me peace, not the only thing, but what has brought me peace is that I think Becky lived more in 35 years than most people do in their whole life. She lived with purpose, with passion, with humor. She did everything. There is not a stone that is untouched. I want to share one more story because I was like, I'm an imposter, and Kristen's like, you're speaking for some of us who didn't want to. They were driving back, they're in Philly, Elena, Kristen, and they're in a taxi. And Becky's in the taxi with them. And apparently this guy on a motorcycle drives up next to them, and Becky just super casual, probably in her leather jacket, rolls down, she was in a leather jacket, rolls down the window, and is like, hey, can I get a ride? Gets out of the cab and gets on the motorcycle, and Kristen and Elena are in the taxi we've got to catch this woman down. I mean, that's the person that she was. She's standing up for people. She always knew what was right and wrong. Christina and I got an email about The Wing and their kind of bullshit that they were doing in the New York Times a week before she passed away. Becky was on it. Her moral code, her ethics were always there. She lived with passion, and she guides me every single day with the kind of life I want to live. So thank you all. And I would just say, Becky and I always shared a grand tradition of going to see LCD Sound System or James Murphy together every time they played, and our tickets are on sale on the 5th. They're playing a couple shows, so please email me. Anybody that wants to go dance their heart out, like Becky, dance our little hearts out, I'll send an email. Come join me. Thank you. Thank you, Claire. It's so true, too. Becky, everyone loved Becky. I'll never forget, there was one night Becky and I were out in Ireland, and the two of us are sitting there, and at least 5 men came up directly to Becky, asking her, I couldn't even the middle-aged drunk cop. I was literally just looking for some external validation, and all anyone wanted was Becky. Next, I'm so honored to bring up, you may have seen her at Karen's Thanksgiving. Please welcome Kate Dooley, Becky's chosen cousin. The long way, yeah, it's a good path. I went for a run there earlier, it was... No, you're perfect. Oh my gosh.
I'm very, very nervous. I don't really cry. But to start, bear with me. Becky always pushed me very outside of my comfort zone, and God, I wanted to back out of this. But I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna read. So Becky was my first and my best friend.
Our families are so close that we actually are family, hence the cousin in quotes in the program. Our families are not connected by blood, but by love. Our moms have been best friends since college and remain so to this day. Becky and I joked about how in love they are, but I think we quickly realized our bond was as strong as theirs. Our moms would tell us how happy it made them and sometimes cry happy tears over how close we were, and we just sort of responded like, yeah, well, why wouldn't we get along? We're awesome. It's not like we're doing you a favor. But we did appreciate how nice it was and how lucky we were that our moms found each other and brought us together. One of the most precious gifts they gave to Becky and I was each other. Becky and I were a lot of things to each other, and I can go on and on about stories, memories, and shared advice, which I plan to do often and always. But today I want to focus on two particular things we shared so deeply. That was a love of laughter and Thanksgiving. And Karen Meyerson is my mom, so you're going to see a lot of parallels. When I tell you that we love to laugh and we love the shit out of Thanksgiving, I'm not sure I'm actually able to properly convey how deep that love is. But I'll try. Over our many, many Thanksgivings together, we've had a wide variety of experiences, from Thanksgiving Eve antics to cozy nights in prepping to eat, to varying Thanksgiving guests, our annual day of stretchy pants, Becky and Aunt Randy's delicious cooking, Becky's new recipes, dually pigs in a blanket, football, then stuffing our face through first, second, third, dinner, often breakfast leftovers. Well, that was me. Going around the table and saying what we were thankful for, lots of wine and Pellegrino, games and whatever show we were binging that year, followed by my couch sleeps, much to Aunt Randy's chagrin, to close out our Thanksgiving night. These few days in November, it was our sanctuary. We literally had countdowns for it. I swear on her birthday, the first of the year, I'd wish her happy birthday and we'd say, well, let's start the countdown. All through September, October, right up to the day in November, we'd send countdown texts and gifts of Job from Arrested Development with the final countdown song. We cherished this time together, even though we saw each other a lot, very often, and we spoke all the time. There was just something about Thanksgiving, and we just held it so dear. Each year I'd roll up to the McBrides, sometimes ready for the night's festivities or hurting from the previous night's festivities. There was always a warm welcome with food being prepped and the anticipation of our favorite day. When I got to the McBrides, we would go and do our annual wine run. This just had that official kickoff Thanksgiving feel. So we would always snag my dad's credit card because we knew we were going to do a lot of damage. Because one year we didn't buy enough and we asked my mom to do a mid-Thanksgiving run, and that did not go over well. So we'd always over-purchase, and so we started that pilgrimage. So one year prior to our wine run, I got to the McBrides after being out for Thanksgiving Eve, and I was a sight to see. I had crusty curls from sleeping on a buddy's couch, mascara under my eyes, and in much need of a shower. And when I walked in, Aunt Randy promptly handed me some makeup from one of her swag gifts from her races. So I rifled through it and I found the infallible lipstick. If anybody remembers this, it was the stuff that Beyonce was the face of. And I thought, yeah, no, I'm gonna give this a try. So I put on the red infallible base, and then I put on the lacquer on top, and God, this advertising was good because I could not get this lipstick off. So now I looked like a crusty drunk wet clown, and Becky said, to the liquor store. So I managed to change into a sweatsuit, but the whole trip people were staring at me, and Becky was just laughing the whole time. I remember being really hungover and really embarrassed just for a minute, because what I really, really remember is that laugh. My favorite laugh of all time. So I know everybody in here has heard that jolly, majestic laugh, because Becky laughed often and she laughed heartily. The McBrides actually all have their own unique and incredible laughs. And if you're the initiator of any of those laughs, you might as well be your favorite comedian. Because as my brother always said, the McBrides make you feel like the funniest person on the planet. Honestly, once you get them going, you better settle in, because that train has left the station. My brother and I love making the McBrides laugh. And I took so much joy and pride in being that source of laughter for Becky. We bonded over love of great comedians like John Mulaney and Tig Notaro.
We binge shows together like Big Mouth and our favorite, Schitt's Creek. We always say that no matter how long the wait was going to be to watch it together at Thanksgiving. We had such a similar, may I add, a great sense of humor. And together that brought us so much joy and so much laughter. So often Becky and I would reminisce about another Thanksgiving, and we would tell this story over and over, and every time we laughed harder and harder. So bear with me, there's a little bit of potty humor. But Becky knew that that was my favorite. So one year, Becky and I were at Ben's house the night before Thanksgiving, and he was hosting a Thanksgiving Eve shindig. So Becky and I attended, and after some time, we noticed this beautiful multi-layer bean dip. We decided to indulge. Indulge quickly shifted into overindulging into borderline offensive. We shoveled chip after chip of this bean dip in our mouths until we were like actually scraping the bottom. I think he brought a second one. I don't know. Whoever brought that, thank you. Now in hindsight, we were like, why would we be scarfing bean dip at a 20-something guy's house party like the night before Thanksgiving? But hindsight. But we did. So we ended up staying there, and Becky slept in Ben's room, and I fell asleep on this L-shaped couch in the living room. And while I was sleeping, somebody else decided to fall asleep on the couch, and he fell asleep where I was sitting, like, really close to where I was curled up. So in the wee hours of the morning, just as the sun was about to rise, the bean dip also decided to rise. And I startled myself awake with a really loud fart. I was mortified. I hustled to Ben's room and shook Becky awake in a panic. Through groggy eyes, she said, "What?" And I looked her right in the eyes and said, "Beck, we gotta go." I farted right in some guy's face. She blinked a few times, and instead of shooing me away, she said, "Yeah, okay, we go." So she rolled out of bed, and we scurried out of the house, muffling our laughter. And that was how we started our favorite day of the year. We told that story so many times, and we laughed, and also shared a warning to stay away from bean dip. But this was just one of countless memories, some really silly, and others monumental, that we called upon over the years. We loved reminiscing about past Thanksgivings, and prepping for upcoming ones. It was one of many things that tied us together and brought us closer. These memories, these stories, the sound of her laugh, I will share and I will treasure and cherish forever. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I am and will forever be grateful and thankful for Becky, my best friend.
Kate, I loved that story about when you were in what sounded like a great outfit, and Becky said to the liquor store, I always knew I was in trouble when I put on an outfit, and Becky would look at me and say, "You do you." I'm like, "No, Becky, I want to do you. Like, that's code for your outfit is trash." Next, I'd like to bring up a very, very dear friend of Becky's, Liz Cloyd.
Hey everybody, my name is Liz Cloyd, and sorry, I'm staring at my phone. And I knew Becky later in life. We became friends actually through Claire, for about the 4 or 5 last years that she was around. And my brother, we're sometimes a package deal, also became very close with Becky. And to give a little context, my brother was in a terrible diving accident, not to be a downer, but he was quadriplegic, so he shared with Becky that something terrible happened when they were young. So they immediately bonded, to the point where I was like, guys, I'm still here too. So the three of us, where we really thrived was in dark humor. Thomas and I learned that when he got injured, and we were able to pass that tradition on to Becky, to the point where one time at the hospital, the social worker mentioned that humor was the highest form of grieving, and that we were thriving. And so I know a lot of you, especially in the last year, didn't have the opportunity to see Becky as much as I did. I had the privilege of spending the last months of her life with her, and I want you all to know that she didn't change. We had fun, we had laughter, It was everything that all of you have said over and over again. You know, she was in pain and there was hard times, but it didn't matter. We day by day, we were together, and we were laughing, and she was talking about all of you. Truly, every single person in here. Becky, I knew about you. Probably an uncomfortable amount of information. So having all of you here today is a really big deal and something I know that she really would have wanted. So in Becky's last months is what I want to talk about, because I know that's what most of you didn't get to see. Everyone has talked about how Becky pushes people outside their comfort zone, sees the best in them, and brings out the best in them. Becky did this for me by helping me stop drinking. I'd say like 2 months before she left us, Becky was really, really sick. And yet somehow she was able to focus on helping me, which really helped her. And it is a gift, you know, if I ever drink again, she'll haunt me, is what she'd say. And you know, like, I just can't say enough about how Becky changed my life, how she changed, you know, I think a lot of people's lives in here, and every day I will be able to live on through things that Becky helped me learn to do and pushed me to do. That's represented in all of you here, and I just really want you to know, like, she loved every one of you so, so, so much. I mean, it was just a testament to who she was as a person. Like, we were grateful every single day that we spent together, regardless of if it was hard, regardless if shitty things happened. Like, we found a way to laugh, we found a way to get through it. And again, like, it was a blessing and a privilege to be able to spend that time with Becky, especially last year. And I just want everyone to know, if you didn't hear from her, it wasn't because she was so sick she couldn't call. It was because she was living her life the way that she wanted to live it. And she really took advantage of every single day. I am now going to read something that my brother wrote. He cannot be here today, and so I'm going to share on his behalf a little anecdote. So apologies, you're going to hear more from me. And I'm going to speak in his voice, so I'm going to refer to myself in the third person at times. I know that, and it sounds weird. Okay. And this, okay, so yeah. As you also, in 2019, Becky and Elizabeth flew out to the Bay Area to attend the shaman-led introspection retreat, aka we took ayahuasca. Her parents know, don't worry. I am still not fully clear on the credentials of this whole setup, which made it even better. Living in Oakland at the time, I drove them to the cabin where the event took place, about a 45-minute drive into the hills north of San Francisco. The small but seemingly modern cabin was in a fairly remote area relative to the density of the Bay Area, and there was no cell service. But it seemed like the ladies had a good game plan, so I dropped them off and we set a time for me to pick them up the following day at 11 a.m. Now, I was a bit surprised Becky was leaning into the shaman action. She and I share a healthy skepticism of some of this stuff, but I also appreciated her willingness to embrace anything because inaction is not an option, which certainly is one of Becky's best qualities. My sister, on the other hand, likes the band Fish, so she was all about this. Given that, I was intrigued to hear how things went as I drove back to the cabin. As I pulled up the cabin at exactly our predetermined time, I was a bit dismayed because the ladies weren't standing outside. The ground was too uneven for me to get out in my wheelchair, so I used the only tool at my disposal, my jarring male yelling voice. I rolled down the window and with as much positivity and good aura as possible, yelled out, "Elizabeth! Becky!" I was also not sure I was at the right place, so I repeated it 3 or 4 times for good measure. A few minutes later, Becky and Elizabeth walked out of the cabin door with smiling, albeit embarrassed faces. Apparently, I had interrupted the final moment of silence at this all-female retreat by yelling both of their names. Not a great look for me or my gender. But that's not the important part of the story. What Becky said to me on the ride back is, while my sister was asleep in the back seat, her preferred method of travel. Becky told me about their experience. In short, she said she didn't really connect with the intent of the retreat. She understood how people could benefit from it, but for her it was still a bit superficial. But she said my sister did. Seemed to connect, sorry. Seemed to connect with the people there and seemed to be having a positive experience. And that is what Becky had hoped and was most happy about. Unlike 99.99% of humans, she wasn't complaining about flying all the way to California, then driving to the boondocks to spend the night in a cabin for zero benefit. I know she wasn't feeling great at the time, so it certainly must have been a less than easy trip. She was genuinely happy that my sister received benefit from what was supposed to be her therapeutic trip. She told me not to tell my sister that she didn't get much out of it because she didn't want to spoil Elizabeth's experience. I was noticeably in awe as she was telling me this. Elizabeth had told me how much Becky wanted to empower and build up other people. I understood this as a personality trait, I guess. But as she was telling me how happy she was that Elizabeth was feeling better, I had somewhat of an out-of-body experience and recognized I was witnessing something special. At that point, I understood what a globally unique person Becky was. When she is in possibly one of her lowest points, she still does sneaky things and puts an effort to make others better. And equally unique, amazing, seemingly crazy, she took joy in doing it. Now, I'll be honest, she still was kind of pissed about the whole experience being late, which is another quality I greatly appreciate. She always kept it real. But there was certainly outweighed by her happiness about Elizabeth's experience. So that ride back really opened my eyes to how deeply Becky not only cared for people in her life, but how she took action to make them feel better, which I honestly have not seen anywhere else in my life to Becky's degree. I can go on, but I will always remember that conversation, especially as I contemplate how I engage and help other people. She will always be the person holding the scale as I make decisions on being selfish or selfless. And she certainly is pointing directly at the selfless end and making me feel guilty if I don't do the right thing. Thank you all, and I love you all very much.
Thank you, Liz. And now I'd like to call up a lifelong friend of Becky's, Marcello DiMichele, with his song Stayed.
Where? You guys did such a nice job. Really. I miss Becky very, very much. So I wrote this song about it. It's called Stayed. Separate time when I open my eyes and I realize that you're gone away. Sometimes I forget, and there goes my breath when the heartbreak takes it away. I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay. I'm talking to you like I'm some kind of fool. I pretend that things haven't changed. I like to believe that you're still hearing me, that next week we'll just hop on a plane. I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay. I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay. Talking to you like I'm some kind of fool. I pretend that things never changed. To believe that you're still hearing me, that next week we'll just hop on a plane. I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay, I wish you'd stay. I wish you'd stay. I wish you'd stay. I wish you'd stay. Since every time I open my eyes and I realize that you've gone away. Sometimes I forget, and there goes my breath when the heartbreak takes it away. I wish you'd stay. I wish you'd stay. I wish you'd stay.
It's amazing, Marcello. And now we're going to close out with a video tribute, so you can direct your attention to, I feel like a flight attendant to these screens, a video tribute put together by Bob McBride.
525,600 minutes, 525,000 moments, oh dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year? In daylights, in sunsets, in midnights, in cups of coffee, in inches, in miles, in laughter, in strife. In 525,600 minutes, how do you measure a year in the life? How about love? How about love? How about love? Measuring love.
Like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion. Like how a single word can make a heart open. I might only have one match, but I can make an explosion. This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song. My power's fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm alright song. My power's turned on. Starting right now. I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I'll
build your dreams with these two hands. We'll hang some memories on the walls. And when just the two of us are there, you won't have to ask if I still care. 'Cause as the time turns the page, my love won't age at all. And I swear, by the moon and the stars and the stars, I'll be there. I swear, like the shadow that's by your side, I'll be there. For better or worse, till death do us part. I love you with every single beat of my heart. I swear, oh, I swear.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back your. There's a time that I remember when I did not know no pain. When I believed in forever and everything would stay the same. Now my heart feel like December when somebody say your name. 'Cause I can't reach out to call you, but I know I will one day. Yeah. Everybody hurts sometimes, everybody hurts someday. Yeah, yeah. But everything gon' be alright. Gonna raise a glass and say, hey. Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way. 'Cause the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back your. Memories bring back your. Memories bring back your.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, and the dream that you dare to, oh why can't I? Oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. The dream that you dare to, why, oh why can't I?
Bob has asked me to share that if you want more food or more alcohol, now is the time. Thank you.
And again, thank you all, really, from my heart, from my heart, and Randy's and Ben's. Thank you.